I was still pretty shook up from the last level when I started Trance. Trance's map music did nothing else to the tension. As to describe it, have you ever heard of the theme from Videodrome? That's the closest thing I could think of to compare it to it. I clicked on to check to see who the new monster was, and it was Orga, a monster who didn't make a film debut until 2000. Appearing in a game made in 1988. So much for my theories about the Tyrannosaurus and Billionat. There was no way this game was made in 1988. Those guys at Toho may be smart, but I am pretty sure that they couldn't see that far into the future. If they could, they would have never gave Roland Emmerich the rights to make a Godzilla movie. No, this had to be a hack of some kind, which opened up even more questions. Who made this hack? When, how, and most importantly, why? The why was the question that bothered me the most. My immediate assumption was now to think that Billy pulled this on a joke on me. But that couldn't be right either. Billy didn't even know how to make a ROM hack. And if he did, he'd probably do something simple and stupid, like replacing all the monsters with crudely drawn on monsters, unless Billy had amazing game skills and serious dark streaks to his imagination, so that he never told me about. He couldn't have made this. Is it possible that to put a hacked ROM into the cartridge? Aside from that, my eye was drawn into the new icon of the map with a question mark. I was really curious as to what it did. I am sure you're also curious. I'll explain the quiz levels now that since this was starting to appear. There were one of these per map from here on, and they always appear near the start of the map. When you start a quiz level, you appear on the screen like this. As you can see, there is a question at the top, a yes and no button, an emotion at the center. I refer to the question emotion as face real creative, I know. And for the inconvenience, I refer to the face as asking the questions. The music for the quiz levels was a track that was actually in the game, as it's the one you plays when you try to use the cheat to try to get it to send you as an unplayable level. Face asks you 12 yes or no questions, and you move your monster to the buttons for your answer. When you answer, the question disappears, and Face changes the expression for about 8 seconds. Then it goes back to neutral, and a new question comes up. There was no time limit, or any right or wrong answers. The Face has no respect for the player's personal boundaries, and will sometimes ask deeply disturbing and personal questions. Like, for example, do you like hurting people? Have you killed anyone? Have you ever been hurt by a family member? Other times he would ask you questions either mindedly, numbingly stupid as, is the sun hot? Is the water wet? Or just flat out ridiculous. Does your dog like the president? And maybe once per quiz, the Face would ask you about the game. With the one exception, the face expressions change and seem to have no effect on the game, except for indicating the game's creator thought of your answer. His reactions rarely made any sense, and at first I thought they were randomly generated. The questions followed a pattern. Face never stayed on the screen for the same subject for more than 2 questions. Early on, the questions is what makes me think that the Face was building up to something, only to then ask a stupid garbage. Here are some expressions of the Face while I was playing. I'll separate them into 2 categories: the expressions I understood and the expressions I didn't. The first expressions I understood was neutral, his default expression; angry, if you had tried to attack his face, his expression changes to this, but nothing else happens; sad, happy, sick, metafacial. Face made this expression when he was being an asshole. You'll see later on. Surprise, love, annoyed, confused, guilty, and hurt. And here's some of the others. Those two were the only appear in the numbers 1 to 12, and I suspect that they may have been in jokes from the creator. Their respective questions are, do you like ice cream? And are you a tough guy? As for the questions on the first quiz, luckily, I had no notepad and pen ready. I have problems remembering these things, so I often carry around to jot things down. And sometimes I even doodle it when I'm bored. So when the quiz started, I first recorded what happened, and I'm glad I did. Here are my first series of questions, my answers, and face reactions. Do you like the game? Answer, yes. Are you afraid? Answer, yes. Are you over 18? Answer, yes. Do birds have teeth? Answer, no. Is peanut butter good? Answer, no. Does the moon rotate? Answer, yes. You have had a job? Answer, yes. Do you like hurting people? Answer, no. Is the sun hot? Answer, yes. Do you like dogs? Answer, yes. Is the president good? Answer, yes. Does your dog like the president? Answer, no. Now that I've explained that a lot, time for the gameplay. After the quiz level, I started a new green temple icon first. Wow, maybe this game was so weird. One of the designers was clearly drugged out of his mind. Jokes aside, I was quite impressed with the graphics of this level, disorientated as they were, but I hate those creepy blank staring faces statues. The music had a hyperchronic Indian technical vibe to it. There were no new enemies in this level, flying ghost thing with a trunk, and a bat with a horse skull for a face. They appeared at random, but I was lucky to get a screen cap of them both. When I proceeded to the Blue Mountain level, expecting another nice calm stroll, I took my time walking through and was completely shooken by a surprise when this happened. Nod Morgravia came in and spreading towards me and took off quite a bit of my health with his tentacle screws. It took me 2 minutes to kill him without having to worry about a time limit. But the boss monsters never showed up in the scrolling levels like in the normal game. I was worried to what the rules of the game would break. After another Blue Mountain stage, it was time to fight Not Varian. For those replacement were the most bizarre things in the game. This strange creature attacks you, kicking and opening up its chest, firing heat-seeking missiles. I still don't get it. The missiles were sometimes a pain in the ass to deal with, but I found that you could tail whip them out of the way. Not Variant would probably use the easiest monster replacements, but the same could not be said for Hot Hedorah. Apparently the source of these two horse bats, and not Hedorah, he was most aggressively difficult monster to fight, mostly because of his special ability, where he could shriek and summon all swarm of these horse bat things. Now I know only these two for the screen cap, but every time he did this, it would be about 10 who would arrive. The AI took advantage of the distraction and attacked me twice as fast as I can with the horse bats. They were flying around. Once the annoyance was done and over with, I went over to the Green Temple level to kill some monsters and restore my health. Interestingly, none of the horse bats ever showed up, not even after Hedorah was killed. And that was when I got the idea. If killing all of the monsters makes the red face show up, what would happen if I avoid fighting Orgra and go straight to the base? So I gave that a try. The game told me that there was no monster there when I tried to start the base level. And immediately afterwards, the game took control of my Godzilla piece and put it in front of Orga. My little trick didn't work, so I prepared myself for another chase, but I had to beat Orga. The fight with Orga confirmed another big thing. Whoever created this game hack was clearly a Godzilla fan, not only because they picked a monster like Orga, but because they actually implemented something that has happened in Godzilla 2000 in a really neat way. Orga's primarily attacks were a punch and a heat beam from his shoulders in cavity. But once you have got him down of half his health, he did something new. He would expand his jaws and would try to swallow Godzilla in the process of stealing your health and energy. But in doing so, he gave himself a new weakness. Firing a heat beam in his mouth would take a devastating 4 bars of his meter. With that being weakness soon revealed, I soon beat Orga, and despite how much I had hoped otherwise, the red face didn't appear on the map where the base was, and the music stopped. I readied myself as best I could before I started the level, and seeing that it was basically the same as first, I didn't waste a millisecond before starting to haul ass. I soon encountered obstacles from the form of the ground tile. Suspended in the air, most of them you could jump over or destroy, others you had to crouch under. But 40 seconds into it, a horrible bellowing roar and the spider beast following slow behind me. The stacks of obstacles barely slowed it down. It would back up and then charge its way through them, smashing them into pieces. And the smaller the obstacles got in the way, it would expand his jaws and swallow them whole. I was afraid, but with fast thinking, the faster button I kept pressing to escape him, I felt really excited. So I laughed and said, "Not this time, asshole!" I decided to take a screen cap to celebrate. But when I said that sentence, just before the level ended, the monster did something that made my blood run cold. It looked at me. That wave of moral terror took over me again, and sure as hell I wasn't laughing anymore. I took another screen cap of the next title, right before I rushed to the bathroom to splash some water on my face, and to take a piss, since I had nearly failed to contain when that freaking thing looked at me.